All right. Well, it's Thursday afternoon here in Dallas. I know it's getting late in the day, so we're going to make this a lively conversation. So I'm excited to be here with Irene. How are you this afternoon?
Great.
All right. Who's excited to talk about hardware? Yeah? Okay. We're allowed to be excited. So I thought it might be nice to maybe start by painting a picture. I know that there's been a lot of conversation around mining today, but I want to maybe talk a little bit about what's been happening, particularly here in Texas, but just across the US more broadly. And I want to maybe say something controversial to start, because that's always fun. I think that we're in the middle of a digital infrastructure renaissance, and that's what I'm calling it. And really what's been happening with data centers in particular over the last 24 months would not have been possible without Bitcoin mining. In my view, Bitcoin mining, the business model for Bitcoin mining is the business model that all data centers will have in the future. And I think we've seen a tremendous amount of focus on this value chain that's emerging from energy through to compute, through to end service delivery. And obviously that value chain starts with hardware. And so I'm excited to have Irene here today to explain to us a little bit more about the hardware side of the business. I know we always talk about ASICs, but not a lot of people know what the ASIC sort of value chain looks like and what a company like Bitmain thinks about, prioritizes, and how they think about the future. So maybe we'll just sort of start by setting the tone. I think over the last decade, really, we didn't see a lot of hardware investing, right? Bitcoin ASICs are one of the few categories where we saw investment in new chip architectures and an emergent market that's multiple billions of dollars a year going into new computing hardware. So I don't think we can understate the impact that Bitcoin has had on the hardware economy. And cryptocurrency actually had a huge impact on companies like NVIDIA. If anyone remembers, the Ethereum mining craze of the early 2020s had a material impact on NVIDIA's stock price. We look at what happened to Seagate, right, a hardware manufacturer of SSDs or solid-state drives. When Chia mining and Filecoin mining started, Seagate had an explosive 2 quarters and could not keep SSDs in stock. So cryptocurrencies have had a really interesting impact on hardware. And so maybe let's just start, Irene, by talking about some of the main trends you see happening today as we see, Bitcoin's almost $100,000. Obviously, there's a lot of competition now for power and compute. What do you think the future holds, and what are the trends you're seeing in crypto markets? And then how does that really impact your business at Bitmain?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
There.
Yeah. So, as Bitmain, we founded in 2013. We start to produce the miner rigs and provide it to the customers. We keep the domain position in this market. Our commitment is to provide the best efficiency miner to the market. And we are excited about today, especially Q4 Bitcoin all-time high. And for our customers, obviously they can have a better mining profit through their, and it's also a good time for them to make their next year's expansions and plans. Basing on the current market status, I do believe our clients have diversified on their business, and some of the customers who are always looking for the most efficient miners, because it's definitely beneficial for their value in the market. They can have the most advanced miners, which will be always limited in the production.
Can we just pause for a moment? What does efficiency mean in the context of an ASIC?
Okay, so the efficiency means you can save some energy, at the meantime have a higher performance, a higher hash rate density. That means a higher mining profit.
What's the primary driver of efficiency? Is it the nanometer width, or what's the primary driver?
It means the efficiency means it consumes less power
Yeah.
per second, at the meantime deliver more outcomes. For example, we talk about, let me give you an example about the flagship products that we announced this year. It can deliver 12 joules per terahash, as well as 473 terahash per unit,
Okay.
which is the most advanced miners. And, but in the current market, the mainstream products, if you consider all the product lines that's available in the market, the average efficiency is around 16 joules per terahash, which was maybe the most effective miners all of our counterparties can produce. So it means around, I see, 30% more efficiency.
Wow. What are, and excuse me, I'm losing my voice. What are Bitmain's latest innovations on the mining side?
We keep increasing the efficiency of the miners, and to ensure we can always produce the best efficiency miner to our clients, like what we just say. At the meantime, as the mining industry, of course.
You talk about efficiency, sorry.
As the mining industry become more and more mature, the clients have different strategies. For example, some of our clients convert to hydro 100% next year. Some of our clients make decisions to turn to immersion, and some of our clients just focusing on alcohol mining. So these kind of cooling technology innovation become very important for clients to improve their efficiency from daily basis. And apart from, so we talk about miner itself efficiency, we talk about the cooling methods efficiency, which is very relevant to the infrastructure. And the third thing is also become more and more important is about software. I think you might be very familiar with that as you're talking about your business focus on AI software. In Bitcoin mining aspect, software is very deeply involved in mining every day. And you can save more energies and have demand response, and which turn out to be a better mining profit from the daily basis. So this, I think, is three trends and three most important factors throughout this industry.
I want to talk about that. I think one of the things that really people talk about a lot with NVIDIA, and NVIDIA this year went from a $1 trillion company to $3.6 trillion company. It's now the biggest company on the US stock market by capitalization. But one of the things that has made NVIDIA such a powerful hardware company is the software, right? It's CUDA. So I think on the Bitcoin side, obviously, a Bitcoin miner doesn't have the same requirements on the software side as a GPU. It doesn't need to be programmed, right? A Bitcoin miner is
is in different aspect. But
yeah, it's a simple machine, but I want you to sort of educate us about this. One of the things that we spend a lot of time at my firm, we invest in miner software. There's very few software solutions to help miners manage their fleets, monitor their fleets, optimize, do routine maintenance. Can you talk a little bit about the firmware and the OS that interacts with Bitcoin miners, and maybe how you think about firmware and OS at Bitmain in terms of a competitive advantage potentially for people deploying your hardware?
So maybe you want some water?
I'm all good, thank you. Sorry, everyone. I've been talking all day, so it's been a long one. Go ahead.
So software, obviously, like I said, become more and more important. And Bitmain, we provide clients with the firmware that come with the miners. But nowadays, we see more and more demand from our clients get the customized service from third parties, like Vanish and other of their counterparties. And we've talked with clients and also the software and the firmware service providers on why you want this and what's the significant benefit they can bring it to you. And I think they do a lot of things very successfully in the daily management. Like they manage the mining farm, and as we are in Texas, we'll just use the Texas earthquake as an example, because the electricity cost is just every 15 minutes here, and it will become, according to the demand, it's actually varies a lot every day. So by using the software, you can decide how much of the energy you want to consume every 15 minutes to ensure you get the maximum mining profit. And it's also very helpful to stabilize the grid. So you don't see like Bitcoin mining is compete with all the commercials or residentials to consume more energy, but you also see Bitcoin miners consume some energies that will be wasted during the time that lies demand. So this is one significant thing. I think this is one of the most important factors.
Very important, I think, right? Because when we had the ice storm here in Texas maybe 2 years ago, there was a lot of criticism of Bitcoin miners and the draw they had on the grid. And even where I live in New York State, there was a huge bill that was proposed to prevent Bitcoin mining. There's a lot of misconceptions around Bitcoin mining making power more expensive for retail consumers, right? So I think the ability to actually address demand response and curtailment at the firmware level is really important. So is that something Bitmain works on?
So we are we provide very basic firmware functions to our clients, but if they need some things like, one of the basic one would be adjust the efficiency according to their needs, and that's something we can facilitate, we can support, and from time to time we are trying to provide a wider list that the kind of supports and services that our clients feel are important for them.
What are the priorities? So as we look at the hardware market for Bitcoin mining, Bitmain's obviously the longest running, I think, best known brands, but there are competitors, right, obviously. What do you think customers prioritize, or what factors, when you talk to large-scale customers, are some of the key factors that they consider when they're trying to decide on hardware they want to buy?
There's a lot of things that are important to clients, but
maybe the top three that come up in conversation for you.
I think our company can have different strategies. They are looking for a manufacturer can fit most of their demands, and obviously we are the ones it's their best choices. For example, we have flagship products which can can fit their demands to have most efficiency miners and solutions. As meantime, some clients are looking for the best ROI equipment. That's obviously we have that. And if you want to work with a supplier that it should be very stable with the products have good quality, and we can support them for long-term run, and especially when they have expansion for like quarterly, yearly, and even longer, that we can meet the demand. Because whenever there's supply chain constraints come out, working with us can actually cure them from those annoying things.
Yeah, and there's definitely been a lot of supply chain constraints, and there's a lot of production challenges, I think, at the foundries, especially now with so much more demand. I guess another question is, and this is one that I think I'm personally interested in, when it comes to the frontier of innovation for Bitcoin mining hardware, for a long time, I think the frontier of innovation has been, more efficient chips, and primarily what gets talked about, we went from 10 nanometer to 5, now people are trying to push lower. But what are sort of the other vectors of innovation that you're seeing on the actual chip design itself, especially now that we have so much innovation on semiconductor design, whether it's photonics, adiabatic computing, sort of other trends we're seeing, moving away from transistor-based chips to maybe other technologies?
I think this one simple things that everybody's pursuing the better efficiency, and people talking about now we are in 10 joule per terahash era, and when we're going to sub 10 joule per terahash, I think that's one thing, that's one innovations everybody's looking for, but it's quite difficult to reach.
Yeah, understood. I just find it so interesting. Again, I think when people talk about mining in particular, people always think about data centers, right? And I think mining has gone from being, when I started in Bitcoin, I mined Bitcoin, right? It was easy to do. And now it's very much very large-scale industrial operation. I think there are also a lot of misconceptions about Bitcoin mining. There's a lot of criticism of Bitcoin mining, particularly its impact on the grid, Bitcoin's baseload power demands. But how do you think about education and training? How do you think about Bitmain's role kind of in shaping the narrative around mining, since you're such an important player in the mining space?
I think as everybody have attended so many conferences, especially this year, more than 10 conferences, everybody is talking about how Bitcoin mining can benefit the grid and actually try more opportunities. And today it's not a new topic right now. We actually benefit a lot, even to the grid, and even in some really rural and poverty areas that it's difficult for them to develop any other industries, but they can actually have Bitcoin mining, and then it's obviously attract a lot of more investment, and especially the foreign investments is very helpful. This is what happens in Africa. Since the beginning of this year, they built a large-scale mining infrastructures there.
In Africa? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and utilizing their abandoned hydroelectric power. And as far as Bitcoin miners go in those rural areas, in very undeveloped places, they have to build out the infrastructure and have local people and invest in those infrastructures and miners, and get it delivered to Ethiopia, up and running, consume like more than 200 megawatts every second. So that's actually bring a lot of capital and incomes to the local people. And it's even more helpful for the people living there who cannot access to electricity because of the lack of infrastructure. To enjoy the modern society, the civilization.
I'm curious, in a situation like that, you don't do any financing of the hardware though, right? Or I guess because it's very expensive. I mean, per megawatt, we're talking about typically 1 to 1.5 million in ASIC cost, right, roughly? That's the number I've heard. So, you 200 megawatts, that's $250 million of ASICs. Who's underwriting that? Because I think we saw a lot of mine finance happening where people were financing deeded ASICs, right? Typically an 80% LTV. Then we had sort of a huge implosion in the MiFi or mine finance space when we saw, a lot of volatility in the price of Bitcoin, and a lot of firms who were the financing firms or private equity firms ended up owning ASICs, which had been deeded as collateral. Now they're self-mining, right? And I don't think they ever anticipated that they'd be miners themselves. But I'm curious, maybe talking a little bit more about the financing side, and I know this is not your core business, but who's financing these massive hardware purchases? Is it primarily private equity, credit firms? Is it miners themselves who are able to access equity markets at low cost? Because the financing part of the landscape is so important for you, I presume.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. We have our financial app called An Alpha who are providing like 50% of
Okay, so they're a capital partner
financing.
for you.
Yeah, if you know, if something meet their requirements, they can definitely provide the solutions to them. And it's a turnkey solution with 50% financing. That sounds really, really attractive. And
so that's part of the Bitmain family of solutions, or that's okay, nice.
Yeah, and there's also some private investors. They are preparing for the next boot run, and recently we make transactions for a turnkey solutions, which is up to 58 hash, which is really, really big.
When you
more
say
than
turnkey,
200 million deal.
When you say turnkey, what does that entail from the Bitmain perspective?
It means clients can just pay for the hash rate. It's plug and play. When they have the full payment, you can get the hash rate run for you and get profit every month.
Got it, okay. And I think that's so interesting, okay, because you used to just play in the hardware part of the value chain. Now you have the financing part of the value chain. What else is sort of value additive there? Is there anything on the Bitcoin side where you buy the offtake or do rev share in the form of Bitcoin? I mean, what does that full vertical you're building start to look like?
So what we always keep developing a better ecosystem for Bitcoin mining, and we want to try our best to provide the appropriate services to our clients. You know, we used to only provide miners, and now clients have multiple choices. They can purchase the miners, they can have the turnkey solutions, they can have cloud mining hash rate from the platform. They can buy and sell. For example, if you have a mining farm, you used to do self-mining, right?
I still self-mine.
Okay.
But I use a third-party hosting solution because I don't own a data center. Not yet.
Yeah, that's why we provide a turnkey solutions.
Okay.
And you can have your hash rate traded on cloud mining platform. You can sell your hash rate or rent it to others for short period of time, like 3 months.
Okay, so you have an actual marketplace for hash rate now.
Yeah, the service is provided by our strategic partner. It's a NASDAQ-listed company.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the eventual evolution of every company, right? As you start in one part of that value chain, and as that value chain sort of starts to mature, there are clearly benefits from that vertical integration that you have, and so it's part of the evolution of the business. That's exciting to hear. I didn't know that Bitmain had become so large.
We're growing.
You're growing. What else is going to get added? What do you think about hash rate derivatives? It's a total sidebar, but do you think that's a market that will emerge potentially?
There might be more and more financial structured products there in the market, but I have a limited knowledge about this, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think we've seen a few attempts at it. It's still a very illiquid and challenging market. That's interesting. See, I'm learning a lot. And then maybe let's just talk about outlook for your growth. We've talked a little bit about this with some of this conversation around vertical integration, but Bitcoin mining, I think, has been a really productive model for consuming excess capacity on the grid. But now there's competition from AI workloads, right? And I think one of the things we're seeing as we look at publicly listed miners, the equity comps, right? The multiple on a Bitcoin miner is much lower than the multiple on an AI data center. So in terms of dollars per megawatt, you get a 30 to 40x multiple if you're in the AI space, and you get a 5 to 8x multiple if you're a Bitcoin miner. So I think we're starting to see more and more Bitcoin miners looking at AI and high performance computing as an opportunity, right, to increase book value. But how do you sort of think about the outlook for Bitcoin mining as an industry in terms of hash rate deployed in the face of so much competition for both power and so much market demand for the AI compute narrative? Do you see that as a positive that could catalyze growth in the mining space, or do you see it as potentially displacement of some of the deployed mining capacity today?
I think at the current stage, you would see some Bitcoin mining companies actually have some advantage to develop their HPCs because the infrastructure of both is actually shared. They can share the electricity infrastructure,
right.
and which short the lead time of short the lead time to build no matter AI data center. But at the meantime, according to the requirement of the, let's say, the tier 1 to tier 3 AI data centers, they have very high requirements of the uptime of the energy. It doesn't mean all the electricity or all the sites will be suitable for turn to AI data center. So.
Right.
We have to see what is available, and for those, and this is one of the things that we have to be aware of. And then Bitcoin mining is still very profitable business, especially during, because the fluctuation of this business actually brings a lot of opportunities. Mm-hmm. And that's something attractive more people to explore how to utilize the fluctuation of the market to get more multiple. I think that's very important too. And from my personal perspective, I feel we actually want to keep the communication with our client to see how we can keep, we can meet their requirement for their future development, ensure the products is actually can help them, their business become more and more successful, because in the past we thought clients always looking for the most efficiency miners. And now they think, maybe with the combination of the business lines and diversify, they can have a better profit throughout the bull and bear market. I think that's something we're also focusing on. Mm-hmm. So as a mining risk manufacturer, that's something we should be focused on. We focus on technology, we focus on services. And in this aspect, we will always keep our domain position.
In terms of business focus, though, I have to imagine that the hardware side of the business is much bigger focus than the services side of the business. Or do you view both as sort of equally important?
I feel it's equally important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so how is Bitmain going to adapt and innovate as Bitcoin mining evolves?
You mean Bitmain?
Yeah, how's Bitmain as a company going to continue to sort of evolve and adapt? Is it through talking to your customers? Are you finding new segments other than Bitcoin? Are you fully dedicated to focusing only on Bitcoin hardware? I guess thought process there. Yeah. To the extent you can share. There are a lot of things Irene can't share with us, so we won't ask about those.
We put a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And many years in this industry to keep our position. I don't think we will change, and or all of our focus will be on the hardware. And by basing on the hardware, we will just provide more structures and more solutions to the market. And this would be continuously be our main goal.
Do you think that will involve buying any companies potentially?
Of course, we have talked with a lot of service providers, as well as we want to be more active in the United States and more localized, and we've collaborate with local manufacturers to have our own production line in the United States.
Okay.
We're going to have...
that feels important in a Trump administration where we're talking about a dramatic increase in tariffs.
Yeah, we'll have our products made in the US very soon, as well as in Mexico.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So you're scaling up production capacity here in North America?
Yeah, that's one of the ways that to better support our clients in North America. And we also talk with some software providers to see how we can collaborate with each other to provide.
Well, I have some portfolio companies to send you since we're investing primarily in data center infrastructure management software.
Definitely, really appreciate that.
Yeah, we will chat. And then maybe just the last question is sort of geographically focused. We are here at, a North American Bitcoin summit, but what are the other geographies that you think are key geographies where Bitcoin mining is growing? I mean, 10 years ago, all of the conversation was about Shenzhen in the rainy season, right? Since then, we've seen a lot of Bitcoin mining move to the United States. I mean, not a lot of Bitcoin was mined in the US pre-2020, honestly. It's been like a fairly new thing. You mentioned Africa briefly and some of the growth there. We've heard a little bit about Central Asia. I know Kazakhstan and other Central Asian countries are starting to look more closely at Bitcoin mining. I have to imagine that the Middle East, which is very rich in power and natural resources, but has very little in the way of compute and a natural tech industry, is starting to look at Bitcoin mining. But what are the key geographies as you sort of prioritize regions to spend your time in that you think are going to be really important for Bitcoin mining?
First of all, the most important one would be United States and then Middle East. And we definitely have to spend some time in Singapore.
In Singapore?
Yeah.
Why Singapore?
Because this capital.
Capital, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
You're not necessary to mine there, but
I was going to say, where are they mining?
Density industry, so you definitely need to see, to go and meet the owners of the mining business.
Yeah, I mean, that's so interesting. One of the things, I spend a lot of time looking at the grid and grid optimization software. The US really is, I think, the best power market in the world right now. Fastest growing power market.
Yeah, I agree with you. The demand is quite high and very fast developing. There are also some other places have the great potential to develop their market, energy market. Yeah,
like I said, I think the Middle East should be a huge, huge data center market, right? Just given proximity.
We always back the flare gas solutions in Middle East can have really outcomes that maybe some innovations there. There's a good solutions can be developed that will be solve the major issues for mining business to be developed there, because you're not necessary to have people around your mining facilities and all their flare gas plants skytrain. You just need to have a proper generators to run with a container.
Yeah, I mean, right now the grid really is the bottleneck in so many places. The grid and all of the supporting infrastructure. Well, I think I'm looking at Lee. Lee, are we good on time?
The congressmen are delayed by a minute or two, so if you have another question, you're welcome to answer it. Otherwise, Irene has some trivia for the audience.
Oh, trivia. I want to thank Irene. I apologize to everyone for having like a little mini meltdown. It's been a long day and I have a very scratchy throat as a result. But we'll keep our eye closely on Bitmain. I think one of the longest running companies in our industry have weathered many storms of many types. So it's great to see Bitmain continuing to thrive, particularly in this decade ahead where I think the data center economy is rapidly growing, rapidly evolving. And I'm really excited to see where you're going to push the Bitcoin hardware space next. And thanks to everyone for listening. I know this is maybe not the sexiest topic, but I think hardware doesn't get nearly enough love, so it's always great to have someone from the hardware space here to tell us more about how that exciting market is evolving and also moving into services.
I think I already shared a lot about this. I'm not sure if everybody's feel boring about it. But I feel, yes, we've talked about the services and we would like to explore more on how to improve the mining efficiencies. And software is obviously something we want to further explore. And also, we see a lot of interesting solutions in the market. Since the middle of this year, I believe some of you went to Mining Disrupt in Miami. And I was so surprised at the moment to see this conference become like an ASIC of all the solutions providers showcasing their latest containers or other type of solutions, and including air cool or liquid cooling. And also emerge and become quite a big part of that. And even the Shell have a booth to provide to showing the oil that can provide to this industry. I was so excited about this, and we would like to keep the conversation with all the suppliers to see maybe some of the requirements from our clients will actually make a lot of benefit to the others, and that's something we need to follow, and or we need to improve, and as a hardware manufacturer.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Integration, right, with other hardware solutions, software solutions. And I think, again, chips are sort of the first CapEx receiver in this boom. But heating and cooling systems, right, anything that sort of assists in the exothermic offtake from mining, optimization, orchestration tools, I think, are really important. Even fleet management. There's only one specialized fleet management software solution for the Bitcoin space today that's on the shelf. There really aren't a lot of solutions. And so it's exciting to see. I'm optimistic. My view, and I guess maybe to close things out, as I think about investing, anytime we see a hardware boom, there tends to be a subsequent software boom, because anytime you deploy billions of dollars of physical infrastructure, you need to monitor, manage, maintain, and optimize that hardware deployment, that CapEx deployment. So I'm optimistic that over the next few years, we're going to see a wide range of software solutions come to market that are going to help make Bitcoin miners more efficient operationally, but also financially. So it's very exciting to see Bitmain playing a role in that process, and hopefully in that pursuit, we'll find an opportunity to work together on some exciting software companies.
Of course.
Amazing.
Happily to keep the conversation.
Yes. Well, thank you to everyone for your time and attention.